week. My name is Jesse Martinez. I'm the founder of Latinx Startup Alliance and also your host today. This is our weekly series, Hispanic Stars in Tech 2022. And our mission here is to help connect you with some of the tools, resources, and people that are helping to support our Latino tech and entrepreneur and talent ecosystem. In addition, we want to ensure that you guys foster these relationships as we move forward and supporting and helping to champion one another. And as you know, right, these relationships are very key. In addition, we also want to thank We're All Human, the Hispanic Star, Claudia and her amazing team, Yali and our production team, for their support and allowing us to, again, bring this series to you on a weekly basis. Today, this morning, this afternoon, I'm excited to host a new friend and a champion for Houston and for the Hispanic community. And so I want to welcome Livia this morning. Good morning, Livia. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you so much for hosting me. It's a great opportunity. Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, awesome. Well, Livia is the Consul General for Israel, based in Houston, and it's nice and sunny and warm Houston, and also
hot and humid.
and helping to support the Southwest. And so a pleasure to have you here. By the way, how's your family doing?
We're good. We just actually arrived a year ago. So we just celebrated our first year anniversary here in Houston. Yeah. And we're getting the hang of it. We got the southern warm welcome. Everybody was extremely nice and supportive. And so we're very appreciative of the Houstonian, community. Work is challenging and great. Kids are just started the school year. So we're on the roll.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. And yes, lots of things going on. And it's going to be a busy fall. Quite glad to hear the kids are back in school. One of the things that we always like to do in having these conversations with our guests is just talk a little bit about who Livia is and about your journey all the way up to Houston. And you can take us as far back as you like, just to provide some context and some background on yourself.
Sure. So actually, I'm an Israeli diplomat for the past 20 years, but I wasn't born in Israel. Israel is an immigration country. And as a baby, I immigrated to Israel with my family. I was actually born in Romania. And, in Israel, kind of everyone comes from somewhere else, either my generation or further back, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. So my family is from Romania, and I arrived to Israel as a baby. And I think I felt the need maybe to give back to the country that helped us and accepted us and is our country now. And so my way of doing it is becoming a civil servant. And that's why I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs more than 20 years ago. I started at 12, in case you're wondering.
Of course. I was thinking 11 and a half.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, so I'm a lawyer by profession because nobody's perfect. And I actually worked as a mediator, as a family mediator. I was always intrigued by conflicts. So I got to divorce many couples, hopefully in the best way possible, with minimum collateral damage, as we say,
Right.
Especially focusing on the welfare of the children. And after that, I thought, well, conflicts are conflicts. It's the same kind of energy. If I can do it, with spouses, why not with countries? And so I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I got to serve. I have a lot of love for Latin America and for the Hispanic culture and heritage. I got to spend 3 years of my life serving in Caracas, Venezuela, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I served in Rome, Italy, further down the line. 2 of our children were born there in Rome. So we're a traveling international family.
Well, that's so nice, and to have that global view or perspective. How's your Spanish and Italian?
Me defiendo. Yeah, that's that. I understand pretty much everything, but
Right.
when I speak, it's kind of a mixture between Spanish and Italian. So yeah,
Okay.
but I get my point across, which is important. So
Yes, yes, very important. Yeah. I think maybe you would fare well in Brazil too.
sorry.
In Brazil. I say you might fare well in Brazil too with the
Yeah, kind of, yeah, a bit similar, yes.
yeah, with the Portugal. And so yeah, I know we're excited to talk about the Latin Tech Pitch competition. But before we do that, how's your experience been in Houston and meeting, some of the Latino leaders and community thus far?
Yeah, it's been great. So maybe I'll say a few words about the work we do here in the consulate. So basically, our consulate covers 5 states, Texas being the largest and most important one. We have Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. This is the turf we cover, so quite a large turf. And the idea is pretty simple and pretty complicated at the same time. That means we're here to strengthen and deepen the bilateral relations between Israel and the territory we cover in the best possible way. And we do it across all sectors. That means we do some political work, engage with elected officials on all levels, municipality, state, federal, etc. We try to do a lot of economic, commercial work, assisting the Israeli export, do cultural exchange, etc., etc. And so one of the things we're basically doing is telling or sharing the Israeli story, sharing our story, or rather the different Israeli stories, because they're not one story, but many,
Right.
but many stories to tell. And what we try to do here on ground is to connect and to outreach to as many communities as possible. And when you think of Texas, I mean, we can't think of Texas without thinking about the significant Hispanic community, actually
Right.
all over the US, but I would say with a special emphasis in Texas. And we know, for example, every second child being born in Texas is of Hispanic descendants. So I would say Hispanic community, apart from my, it has a very close and special place in my heart, is a huge priority for the work of our consulate. And we always try to engage and to do work together with the community. And this year, since you've asked about the Latin Tech Pitch competition, we thought of combining two things. So the first one would be just trying to highlight the achievements of Hispanic entrepreneurs and the great work they're doing. And on the other hand, we were thinking, okay, how can we connect it to Israel? Okay, so some people call Israel the startup nation. We're pretty good at innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology. And we said, okay, it's a match made in heaven. It's a perfect match. Why not combine the two and do an outreach to Hispanic entrepreneurs talking about technology-based startups and connecting them to the capabilities or the added value or best experience Israel can offer. And this is basically what we're doing. Actually, today is the deadline. So
I know.
if any of you out there, we have a lot of applicants, but if any of you out there, great entrepreneurs, still feel like applying, you still have a chance, a few hours to go. Yes, so the call is for Hispanic entrepreneurs based in Texas, that have a technology-based startup to apply. And we're offering great prize money, an opportunity to have networking with the most influential people or the innovation scene in Houston. We're doing the final event on September 20th at the ION. As you know, the ION is a great partner and a great hub for innovation in Houston. and I'm sure we're going to have a great beach competition.
Yes, well, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's been, I was glad to be part of those early conversations and finally see come to fruition. And then, seeing the types of applications or applicants that come through, and how do we help champion, this generation of Latino tech founders based in Texas. And so excited about that. Excited about the event on September 20th as well. We'll meet in person, as you mentioned, at the ION. And so make sure that you put that on your calendar if you're listening or tuning in to join us at the ION on September 20th at 6:30 p.m. And we'll post some more links in reference to that so that you can sign up. It's exciting to see that Houston's an emerging tech ecosystem, as well as Texas. But, Houston just got ranked as the top 5 in the world. And so it's been a long time in the making. And I know a lot of people are happy to see that, to be a part of it. We can feel the energy, we can feel the excitement and the support. And as you know, it really takes a lot of collaboration to make these things foster and grow. And so as some of us may know, these are the early days. And so, make sure you get your applications in. It's a tremendous opportunity, and being able to connect these dots to other resources and then just be able to meet others. And so
I totally agree. Actually, being here in Houston for the past year, you can really feel it all happening and coming together. And that's a very fresh sense of almost being a pioneer. I think you're a big part of it. And it's very exciting just seeing the wave coming our way.
right.
And it's here, and it's a very good wave. And I think Hispanic entrepreneurs should be able to capitalize and catch it while they can. A lot of exciting things are happening, a lot of opportunities, and you just need to reach out and connect and tell your story to the world, share your story to the world, grab some financing if possible. Yeah, and do your thing. So I really encourage all of those entrepreneurs out there to take an active part in the game, because that's what it's all about. The city is doing great efforts, to assist and to support. So why not?
Yes, absolutely. And it's taking that first step. And please don't hesitate. Make sure that you submit your application. They're due today, so I think midnight. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can do midnight. It's fine. Yeah, no, I was actually referring to the whole scene. The contest is great, and the event is going to be great, but I always say it's a marathon. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and innovation needs to be cultivated. So when I say be a part of the game, I mean, come down here, participate, meet the people, reach out, talk to Jesse because he's the man. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I'm excited to be on this journey with yourself and the team and others. And there's excitement across the board, and so I think our founders, right, our entrepreneurs are going to be, I guess, really looking forward to again making sure that they're aware of the resources, because a lot of people do want to help. And being able to champion this ecosystem, Houston and Texas overall. If there's anyone in the audience that has any questions for Olivia, please put them in the Q&A. We'll be sure to take them. Again, this is for now it's for Texas only. Who knows what the future yields, but if you're in Texas, make sure that you do submit your application.
I'll just mention we have consulates all over the U.S. So I've mentioned the area we're covering, but my colleagues around the U.S. are doing similar things, and of course, people will have the opportunity to join similar, maybe not the exact competition, but similar initiatives by other Israeli consulates in the U.S. So
okay, yeah, that's great to know. One of the things that, as a 4-time founder and championing, other founders, one of the things that was that really got my attention is just the mentorship that this competition will provide for the winners. And so maybe if you can just talk a little bit about that when you talk about other Israeli startups or founders being able to provide mentorship.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most valuable components. Besides, the great exposure the event will give and the networking opportunity. I think mentorship is really just taking someone by the hand, and we allocated some Israeli entrepreneurs that have made it in Texas. And we thought, just providing their valuable time and lessons learned, taking by the hand, the young entrepreneur that is beginning, and giving him the best advice possible, connecting him, to the best sources, VCs, whatever. And trying to help. So I do think the mentorship is extremely valuable. It's an asset. It's an asset, and it's very interesting to see how would the Israeli experience can be translated, kind of, to a Texan entrepreneur, and how is the experience different or the same? Israelis are quite unique, but I think we have a lot of similarities. I find, the Latin culture and the Israeli/Jewish culture to have a lot of similarities. One of them would be the entrepreneurial spirit we share. I believe it's kind of a go-getter attitude that sometimes is mutual for immigrants. So we say necessity is mother of all inventions, right? So when you have the necessity, you just invent and reinvent, and that is what Israel has been doing for the past decades. And I think we get to enjoy the fruits now. So I don't believe in copy paste, like doing the same thing Israel has done is not the idea, but I do believe in sharing some components, pick and choose the elements that seem to work and could work in a different environment. And that's the idea. And I think the entrepreneurial spirit, just to name one thing, I would also talk about not being afraid of failure. That's huge. There are cultures, I've served in Europe, and Europeans don't like to fail. Who does? Okay, yeah. None of us like to fail. We've been brought up to succeed, right? That's the important thing. Well, Israelis are not afraid to fail, and actually, an investor, if he sees a startupper that has never failed, would kind of wonder what's wrong with him. So it's kind of a badge of honor if you failed even a couple of times. Well, not dozens and dozens, because that would be, but failed a couple of times and got up on your feet and are trying again. That's a sign of strength. So that's also a component I would suggest.
Yes, I was laughing inside just thinking about stories, from Silicon Valley about, make sure you fail fast and learn sooner rather than later. And then it's okay to start over, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I know sometimes in some of our cultures, it's a little challenging, especially when you have those conversations with the parents. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited as well to see, who applies, right? We'll certainly have those that get chosen, and it'll be wonderful to follow their journeys and to document that. So I'm thinking about like documentation of these founders that get chosen, but also being able to help those that are not selected. And, what are the tools and resources we can provide to them as they embark on this entrepreneurial journey as well.
Definitely. I think you talk a lot about community, so that really resonates with me. I think the word community is the right word, and we feel there's a commitment. I mean, you're committed, definitely. We are committed, and it is about creating and reinforcing this community that could help one another. So, the sky's the limit. We can think about delegations to discover Israel and the innovation scene in Israel, talking about, opportunities. We can think about webinars with Israeli experts that could share their knowledge with entrepreneurs. That's besides the mentorship we mentioned before.
Right.
So a lot of ways we can cooperate and cultivate this community that would really give a chance, again, not only for the finalists, but for everybody that came on board and gave it a shot, because that's the thing we want to achieve.
Yes, very well said, and thank you for your support. And it'll be fascinating, when we have this same conversation next year about the pitch number 2, right? And what have we learned over the past year, and then who's that next select group of applicants that apply when we
Yes. So this time we focused on technology, just because from the conversation we had with experts, you being one of them, we heard Hispanic entrepreneurs tend to be great entrepreneurs. They're strong in business, building business plans, financing, stuff like that, but maybe a bit more challenging on the technological part of things. That's why we said, I always like a good challenge. Let's go for the challenging part. Yeah. And that's why we chose the technology-based startups, because we felt maybe there's kind of a void or something we could help with. So that was my first choice. But I know next year we're going to talk about women entrepreneurs, which is a huge priority for us. Right. Being a feminist, guilty as charged, I admit, yes. And I know it's very close to your heart as well. And I read some very troubling statistics yesterday, just happened to read something about the differences between men and women, actually, when it comes to investments. So women don't invest as much as men, and they earn less, and that leaves us way in the back, in life's race. And so anything we can do to reinforce the women's roles as entrepreneurs and as investors, and investors, I think that would be phenomenal.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. And as you know, those things are very close to my heart. And so, being able to put those programs in place as we, work within this emerging tech ecosystem, so that we can build the right foundations across the board, and then teaching that next generation, depending on their interests. One thing that I've been sharing with some Latina VCs is that, now, thinking about our work the past 10 years, now I can pick up the phone and say, oh, my niece needs an internship, or she would like an internship at your venture firm, right? Where that wasn't possible, just 10 years ago. And so just the amount of growth and traction that we've had in this generation to allow us to open those doors for others. And so thinking about, again, the immigrant story, thinking about my parents, blue collar, and then coming to a new country, and then thinking about, my brother and myself, our journey, and now being able to have access, right? So we always talk about access to tools, resources, and then especially people, as we build these relationships with people, are very key. And then that ultimately leads to building a community, right? How do we build this community that champions and supports one another?
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. It's about building the community. And I think our contacts and relationships are our biggest assets. And talking about women, it's not only about helping, the niece getting the internship. It's about even making our daughters believe they could do an internship in a venture capital in a great place. And why not? So for every dollar an American man has to invest, an American woman has 34 cents. That says something. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
we are committed to that, and I'm sure that if we'll look for the statistics for Hispanic, for Latina, it won't be any different, or the gap would be even larger. So
you're right. Yep, so true. That's the reality that we live in. And so how do we make sure that we support these different areas? And again, especially for women, then the next set of generations that are coming through.
yeah, just making them know it's possible. So we talk a lot about STEM studies, and actually just having an educated and skilled workforce, how crucial it is. It's not only a gender thing, it's a general thing. In order to have a good high-tech sector, you have to have an educated and skilled workforce. So this is something Israel has invested a lot in. High education. Back in the 90s, we absorbed over 1 million of immigrants from the former Soviet Union. And it happened to be most of them were highly skilled engineers, computer engineers, physicians, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And that really changed and gave a great opportunity for the workforce in Israel, and the government knew to capitalize, to take advantage of those great talents that arrived to the country, again, immigrants, and just to uplift them and to use their skills in the best possible way.
Yes, I wish that you guys could have done a better job around that, with some of our immigrants. For our audience, if you have any questions for Olivia, please put them in the Q&A. It'd be great to ask your question while we have her here live with us today. And then, as we mentioned, the applications are due today. I think I might have extended the time, but sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're happy with every new applicant.
Yes. Well, I'm fascinated to see all the applications.
Not until tomorrow.
Yeah, and hoping we have a strong showing of Latinas as well. And so I know we shared it across various Latino groups and organizations all the way to Google. So hopefully, they've seen the information and have applied.
Yes. Yeah.
Larry, what else can we do? How can we be of help? How can our Hispanic Latino community be of help?
Well, I think the relationship and the bond that we nurture here is extremely important. So, the world is global. Actually, if we're talking about learning from the Israeli experience and the forte Israel has to offer, so the term born global or being global from the first minute is totally an Israeli thing. From two students, doing code in the garage.
Yeah.
So the first email to one another, they're both Israelis, but the first email would be in English. Why is that? That's very strange, if you think about it, because they know they're going global. If you think about it, the national market, the Israeli national market, over millions, it's 9 million people, is non-significant. It's a very small market. So national market makes no sense. If you go broader to the regional market, you kind of have a tough neighborhood, right? So that's, well, now with the Abraham Accords, that is changing too, but just to say, so the regional aspect of things is not that great as well. So the startup, or your average startup, or first day he starts, thinks about the US, thinks about Europe as well, but mainly the US. And then we say born global. It's not only about the language. It's not only about, communicating in English, but it's about adopting the global way of communication and looking as further as possible, new markets, and thinking global, thinking big and thinking global. So I think this is one of the emphasis we could, we could offer when we try to watch and learn. This is definitely something we know how to do. And the fact is, today Israel is only second to the Silicon Valley in the presence of multinational companies.
Yes.
So they know what they're looking for, and they're probably finding it in Israel. I think right now we have over 6,000 startups. So I think that per capita it's number one. It's also a large number in itself. It's a large number per se, but if you divide it per capita, then for sure. And in its turn, it attracts VC investment. That I think we're in 2021 we were number one. 2022, I think Singapore took the lead. So
oh, really?
it's okay. It's okay. We'll let them have it for 1 year, but we're definitely leading in that. We can also talk about the different sectors of the Israeli high tech. So I would say cyber, everything that has to do with cyber is huge and very significant. Agrotech, if any of the people that are listening to us are interested in agrotech, in WATech, everything that has to do with water technologies, environment technologies as well, all of those, fintech as well. We accumulated some experience and some knowledge in these sectors. So I also think it's important to match the right sector and maybe again learn from experiences and try to share knowledge and contacts, etc.
Yeah, no, that's great. And no, I've seen the charts and graphs before, and then just knowing people firsthand. And so it's definitely exciting. And that's why there's a book, called Startup Nation.
Yeah, it's outdated by now, but I think now we're trying to say the Startup Nation is turning to the Scale Up Nation. Because if we look at the past 5 years,
right.
So it's not so much. We still have a very large number of startups, of course, but it's more about scaling up. This was the phenomena of the past 5 years, including COVID and everything. So that's even more impressive if you take into account the couple of years we had to cope with COVID. It's very exciting going from the Startup Nation to the Scale Up Nation. So maybe in the past 2 to 3 years, we had less startups being created, but on the other hand, the companies we do have managed to recruit more and more money, managed to bring more and more investments. So it's becoming, so this is the scale up we're talking about. Right.
Well, I'm excited to read that book.
Yeah.
Read it and see it. And lots of exciting stuff. I didn't see any questions come in. Any words of advice for our audience as we share this video a little bit later for any applicants?
Go. Honestly, go for it. And it's not only the go to get attitude. I think it's also doing your homework, get it, but in a wise way. Prepare yourself, do your homework, know the people, connect, reach out, ask for help. You'll be amazed. I'm always amazed. We don't always like to ask for help. It puts us kind of a vulnerable situation. But each time we do that, we actually find out people are more than happy to help, and it gives them an added value, So just reach out, ask for good advice, find a good mentor that could advise you down the line. And go. Try.
Just make it happen. We'll be sure to repost the application link. And Libby, I'm looking forward to seeing the applicants, seeing who's going to pitch on September 20th at the ION, and then also seeing who gets selected. And again, for those that apply, don't worry, we'll have additional support tools and resources to help you on your journey. And so I think it goes back to making sure that you put yourself out there and apply, and then let's ensure that we build this community and being able to help and champion one another.
Here, here.
Well, Livia is a proud Hispanic Star to a Hispanic Star champion and ally. And on behalf of We're All Human, we want to thank you for your time today, for your insights, for being a champion of many things, but also especially for this Latin Tech Pitch competition and being able to support our founders in Texas and then also Houston area. And so mil gracias for your friendship as well. And looking forward to embarking on many other journeys together as we do this work.
Muy amable, muchas gracias.
Well, muchas gracias, igual. And then also thank you to Claudia and her team for allowing us again this opportunity to bring Hispanic Stars in Tech, our 2022 series on a weekly basis. Stay tuned for our event next week. And then in addition, from an announcement perspective, look for some information on the Hispanic Star Leadership Summit Series in the Bay Area taking place October 10th. That'll be at build.com. And so stay tuned for that. And then in addition, stay tuned for our first Hummel Tech Summit taking place in Houston, October 14th and 15th. They're at the ION as well. And so as some of you may know, the ION is one of our strategic partners. We're an anchor tenant. And so we're truly honored to be there, being able to help and build and contribute to this emerging tech ecosystem. So stay tuned for those, and then make sure that you download the Hispanic Heritage Month Toolkit. You can go to hispanicstar.org. And then if you're looking for Hispanic Heritage Month events, you can find those there as well. And so thank you, everyone. Be safe, stay strong, and stay healthy. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you, Livia.